Hi friends, thanks for stopping by Embracing Our Life. Today I'm going to share with you our library book haul. Our local library started a book sale last week, and they typically have one once or twice a year. And so when we went to the library, I knew that they had it, and I told the kids, I said, we'll bring a couple dollars. Usually they're about $1 a book. And when I walked in, I was pleasantly surprised to learn they were $3 a box. So, as you can tell, we got more than just a couple books. I couldn't pass that deal up, and I love all sorts of books, and we homeschool, and I have a book library, and everybody in my family has their own little library in their room. And so I'm going to show you what we scored for $9. And actually this isn't even everything, because I know my daughter took 3 or 4 books, I think, and set aside for a friend, and my son took a couple books, and I have a pile of like 10 books that I set aside for a friend. So these are just like the kid books that are left, that are mama's, I guess. So let me go ahead and start over. So I picked up this book. It looked really interesting, about a shepherd's view on the 23rd Psalm, and this book on Genesis. These are some chapter books that my son picked up, some of his favorite authors that he likes reading right now, and some of the current books that he was looking for copies for to finish his library series. This is a historical chapter book I thought was interesting to have. Maybe it's something I'll read as a read aloud for history. These are some little horse books. This is just a few other books that my son picked up on Benjamin Franklin, the Titanic, and pirates. We also have some more kind of boy books. My oldest son is a junior in high school. He's 18. He'll be graduating next summer. And then my other son is 16, and so even though they're not little anymore, I do pick up a lot of extra books to fill our family library with. We have other children that come into our home, and I guess once you're a homeschool mama, you kind of think like, oh, I want this library, family library, for if my children were to homeschool, or even if they weren't, so that my grandkids could have all these books that they could pull from, and I could read them different topics. So it's just become something since I became a homeschool mom that I've really enjoyed collecting books. This is our bird section. I was really excited to find some books on John James Audubon. We actually got this book at a yard sale a couple years ago, and some of you who are big nature people, you will recognize this. This is actually a collectible, and it is one of his books full of his original art on birds. And so we are going to do a bird study here very soon. It's a family study. One of the ways that we do homeschooling in our home is we do a lot of unit studies, and we pull a lot of resources for one particular topic. So, like, say for instance the birds, we picked up a ton of books on birds. Some of them even talked about James Audubon, and others were about trees. And so I will do some of these as a read aloud. Some of these will just be in a basket in our kitchen or our living room. When we are doing topical studies, I usually find all the books that are that topic in our family library, and I put them in baskets throughout the house. So my kids are much older, but they still read to the younger kids that come over, or if they ever want to, they can grab those books, and at least I know they're easily accessible if there's a question or something that they want to look into. So for birds, we will usually pick a topic, like we're going to do James Audubon and the history of him. We found a documentary that we're going to watch, and got one of his original artwork books, so we can really see what he did. And then we would pull every subject we could from the books that we have. We also do a lot of game schooling. I think more than half of our schooling is game schooling, and so some of our favorite games about birds is Wingspan. And so we will play that game and talk about the facts on the cards, and the kids will pick a bird to research. That's something we have done in the past. And it's just a really fun way to incorporate curriculum and not be so tied down to actual curriculum. So this is going to be a topical study soon, and I'm kind of excited about it. We also, when I do this, I kind of tell my husband that now I need to buy lots more bird feeders and lots more bird seed, because it's like hands-on and they got to see what birds we have. So maybe I'll get more bird feeders around the property and be able to see all the other different kinds of birds that we have. And then up here we have some chapter books. These looked quite interesting, the titles and some of the storyline. And these are older chapter books, but they seem to have some really good stories with them. And I am quite taken by nature books about animals in nature, or people who live in nature, like the Wood book of the Tree, The House in the Woods. So those are some other books that we'll add to our library. This section right here is basically focused on animal husbandry. This is how to take care of all sorts of different animals. They had horses and pigs and rabbits. We do have a rabbit, a Holland. She lives in the house. And goats and sheep. We don't currently have, or I don't think we will get on our property any more animals than we already have, which is mostly just chickens. I do want to get a few more rabbits. But at $3 a box, y'all, I will put all sorts of books in there that I could fill my family library with, because I never know when a friend might say, hey, do you have any books on this? Or my kid really likes this, and I'm willing to bless them with that copy of a book. Or if my kids get older and they want to have a little homestead and raise animals, which Best Mama is really hoping that will happen sometime with one of my children, that I could have a resource library for them built up. This right here is our animals books. We got books on animal tracks and more books on cows and horses and how to care for horses. Then we got these books on ice cream from a dairy, and some other books to read to the little children that come into our home for story time. This stack is what I like to call family books. They're kind of just those cute little stories that tend to not quite fit into a topic, subject, I guess you will. But they just have these sweet stories. I'm so sorry about that lighting. And a lot of these, even though they're not really for little kids, are great read-aloud books for the little kids that we do have in our home when we have story time. A lot of times, it's good to read those books that are a little bit older when the kids are little and they get used to having story time and they really enjoy it. Reading aloud to children of all ages is good. This book looked really neat. I'm going to have to... Sometimes I like getting books to just sit and read them myself. This is one of those things, when you have a love for reading, I feel like you can read books of any type, and also, like, even though, I'm older, I can still read little kid books, and really, really enjoy a lot of these sweet, sweet stories they have. This is another stack, some more of those books, those little family books that I think have such sweet messages. This is one of our history sections we picked up. These are all on the colonial era of history. Colonial America is my favorite time in history to teach. It's also one of those times in history where I feel like I kind of connect a little bit to loving the homestead life and cooking, and by scratching, canning, and gardening and sewing. I joke with my husband that I could be Ma Ingalls and not have a problem with it, and he it's not quite sure he could be Pa, so I think my kids kind of agree that they're grateful that we were not born during that era. But I can look up to those that I learn about in that area, and I could really be inspired and encouraged by the life of some of these people that lived during this time. And I get excited when I teach that time in history. This section is on Civil War and the American Revolution and the War of 1812. In our area, there's actually an 1812 reenactment. Part of the War of 1812 happened pretty close to us, so that's kind of neat. We didn't really have any books in our family library on the 1812, so those will be ones we'll probably study as a read aloud this year, and hopefully go to the reenactment again. These are some other topical books that my son picked up, Marco Polo and Robin Hood and Little John. And then this is, I kind of thumbed through this, not quite sure if I like it, but it's kind of a little spin on the White House and using mice and kind of all the parts of the White House when it comes to learning about things. So it's kind of cute, boiled down in a way that kids can understand it better. And I like mice. Don't necessarily like all the ones that like to come in from the country and live in our home, but I think they're quite cute. So that is our book haul, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it. I am sure there will be more book hauls along the way. If you like this video and want more book hauls, feel free to comment and like our video below, and I will just look forward to sharing with you what we end up finding the next time. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Talk to you